Three Jewish mothers are sitting on a bench arguing over whose son loves her the most. The first mother says, "My son loves me the most. He calls me every week before Shabbat like clockwork." The second mother says, "He calls you every week, so what? My son sends me flowers every week before Shabbat." To which the third mother says, "Once a week, that's nothing. My son is in psychoanalysis 5 days a week, and he talks about me the entire time." When you're growing up, your mother is your entire world. She's your caregiver, she's your healer, your protector, your provider. She's the person from who you learn what it means to love. But as that joke conveys, a mother's love extends well beyond childhood. In fact, I think it's fair to say that a mother's love never ends. I turned 35 this past week, and I know that my mom still loses sleep worrying about how she can be the best mother and now the best grandmother that she can possibly be. And one of our foundational texts about what it means to be a mother comes from chapter 31 of Mishlei, of the book of Proverbs. In the opening verses of that chapter, just before the famous Eshet Chayil passage, Bathsheba admonishes her son, King Solomon, for marrying an Egyptian woman. And here's what she says. "Ma beri u'ma bar bitni, listen, my son, listen, O son of my womb." And in a brilliant, insightful comment on that verse, Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik points out that despite the fact that Solomon was the king of Israel, his mother addresses him here as if he were still her little boy. As Rabbi Soloveitchik writes, "For the mother, no matter how old and independent her child is, the image of the baby, the memory of an infant held in her arms, the picture of herself playing, laughing, embracing, nursing, cleaning, never vanishes. Neither can she ever dismiss from her mind the sleepless nights during which in anguish she watched over a sick, feverish child. She always looks upon her child as upon a baby who needs her help and her company, and whom she has an obligation to protect and shield. Solomon was the great king, the most powerful and famous ruler in the Near East, respected and admired by all, and yet for her, he was still the baby of her womb." In other words, as Rabbi Soloveitchik points out, being a mother isn't only a full-time job, it's a lifetime job. Once you are a mother, you are always a mother. Even if your son becomes a great and mighty king, you still worry about him. And that worry will still keep you up at night. No matter how powerful or prominent your child may be, your child will always be, first and foremost, the baby of your womb. This morning's double Torah portion, Behar Bechukotai, lays out the laws of the sabbatical year and the Jubilee year. Just as human beings are commanded to rest every seventh day, so too are we commanded to allow the land to rest every 7 years during what is known as the Shemitah year, the sabbatical year. Fields are not to be sown and vineyards are not to be pruned, because just as with human beings, if we hope for the land to flourish, then it needs to be given a chance to rest and rejuvenate. And it's a remarkable coincidence that we are reading about the sabbatical year and the necessity for rest and relaxation just one day before Mother's Day. Because as rewarding and as fulfilling as motherhood may be, we all know that it can also be physically and emotionally and spiritually exhausting. Imagine how Bathsheba must have felt still worrying about Solomon so many years into his kingship. Mothers are like the soil that nourishes and sustains life. They provide the foundation upon which families grow and flourish, and they are the ones who sow the seeds of love and kindness and values in the hearts of their children. But just as the land needs time to replenish its nutrients, so too do mothers need the time to replenish their spirits. And that is really what tomorrow is all about, giving mothers the time, even if it's just one day, to replenish, to recharge, to rejuvenate. As we approach Mother's Day, let's take a moment to recognize and honor the incredible labor of love that it takes to be a mother. Let's acknowledge the monumental sacrifices that they make of their time and their energy, and very often of their own basic human needs every single day. Just as the sabbatical year provides a pause for the land, tomorrow let's be sure to give mothers just one single day for themselves. And of course, that mindset should extend well beyond tomorrow. As a community and as a society, I think we have an obligation to do whatever needs to be done to give mothers the time and the space to pursue their passions, to engage in self-care, and to nourish their own souls. We are not good at that in this country, particularly. Europe is much better at that than we are. We don't have great parental leave policy here in this country, and that's another conversation, but something that really needs to be thought about. Because as this morning's Torah portion teaches us, that is really the only way, giving mothers the time to replenish their own souls, that mothers, or really anybody, will ever be able to succeed, to flourish, and to thrive. The Talmud relates that when Rav Yosef would hear the footsteps of his mother, he would immediately rise and say, Ekum mikame Shechina, I will stand because I am now in the presence of the Shekhinah, the presence of God. Rav Yosef fundamentally understood that his mother shared the divine attributes of God. She was his creator, his provider, his protector. On Mother's Day, and really every day, we should always be aware of the incredible gift of mothers in our lives. And whether your mother is still here or is no longer here, she will always be a blessing. Shabbat Shalom, and happy Mother's Day.